All right, live now to Pretoria. ENCA's Michael Apple is at that panel discussion. Michael, good afternoon to you. So two things, getting fairly heated at times during the course of the morning. Talk to us about that and also what's been achieved so far.
Yeah, that's right, Jeremy. As one expected, it was an emotive, heated discussion that took place this morning for several hours. We had a number of speakers. We had COPE's Monsieur Lakota. We had the DA's head of policy, Gwen Ngwenya, that was here. We had various Unisa professors, and we also had a number of political analysts that have been speaking about this issue for several years. Some very interesting concepts coming out of this morning's discussion about possibly amending Section 25 of the Constitution that deals with should there or should there not be just an equitable compensation if land is expropriated. The discussion raging around whether or not the legislation in its current form is adequate. To discuss this further, I'm joined by Associate Professor Boitumelo Senokwane. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. He's the organizer of this morning's event. Prof, how do you think it's been going?
Look, so far I think I'm satisfied with the program itself, but also participation and the contribution that is made by academics, analysts, but also by political parties. I think it's so far what was expected, more or less.
So the political parties have given their positions. Which one of the comments stood out for you as something that really resonated with the people here?
Look, I think in between all the contributions that were made is that there seems to be an understanding and agreement that first we must have an ongoing discussion on the matter of whether we amend Section 25 or not. But there seems to be that agreement that there is a need to engage. But second to that, there seems to be only the difference has to do with we amend or not, but also the question of compensation or not. I think that's more or less where we find the discussion. And remember our role as an institution of higher learning, Unisa, our responsibility is to stimulate, interrogate and provoke discussion so that politicians and academics, when they go here and make their own conclusion, they should have been influenced by difference of opinion. I think more or less that's what we wanted to achieve, and I think we are doing well in that regard.
We've heard certain comments from a number of the speakers that the Constitution and that section in particular should be thrown in the dustbin. We've heard comments like that. Is that something from your comments that you would reflect on positively? You believe that that entire section should be done away with, or do you believe that there needs to be more engagement, more discussion on this?
Look, there are issues. In my presentation in the morning, I was speaking about the hermeneutic of suspicion. I believe that every text is not innocent. You know, there is a world behind the text, there is a world in front of the text, and there is a world outside of the text. So my view is that whenever we engage that section, those three things that I've just mentioned now should be taken into consideration. And I think by doing that, we will provide an opportunity for everyone to contribute, and that will lead us to determine what needs to happen.
Professor, you said politicians lie, the media lies, advertisers lie. Do you believe the people of South Africa have been lied to for at least the last 24 years?
Look, the lie does not only exist for over the 24 years. This lie has existed for many years. There is a quotation by Albert Memmi. He says that the colonizer lives twice. He lives for himself, but also lives inside the mind of the colonized. What we see even today is that some of the colonized still perpetuate the injustices of the past, of the many hundred years and so forth that has existed in terms of exclusion of other people to participate in the economy or property itself. But what we want to see happening as that, the lie should also be treated suspiciously, meaning that we should not take things at face value. We must question, interrogate, so that by the day we make a decision, it must be better, well-informed, and with facts, especially historical facts in this regard.
We've seen from the fees protests, and it was a movement driven by the economic freedom fighters, Student Command, that fees must fall in higher education circles. Do you believe that patience has run out with the land question and that the time for engagement is almost over on this? Have people lost patience?
Look, I think people have lost patience. There was once, once we have created land hunger, people will starve for land, and people are hungry for land. And if it is not resolved through a discourse, through dialogue, through conversation, it obviously will get out of hand, because it has been proven several times that even the freedom, the democracy that we've achieved, it was achieved through violence. And if you check even now what happens in the country, fees must fall, outsourcing must fall, they were achieved only after there was violence. And I think we are able to mitigate and avoid violence if we open dialogue and speedily allow the processes in Parliament to take its course, so that this matter is done and dusted, because it has been here for many years and it can't be prolonged forever.
Professor Senokwane, thank you so much. There is a very interesting lineup of speakers that are coming up after the lunch break here. We're going to have Black First, Land First leader Andile Mkitama, and there's also going to be the EFF's Deputy President Floyd Shivambu, and amongst other speakers here today. So I don't think the temperature in the room is going to get any cooler, Jeremy.
And we'll plug into that high temperature a little later on. Michael Apple in Pretoria. We will take a selection of those addresses live on the program.